One night, my husband Finn and I were awakened by the sound of the doorbell. "What time is it?"
It's 1 a.m. Who could it be at this hour?
"I'll go check." As we checked the front door monitor, to our surprise, it was our granddaughter Emma showing on the screen. Still in our pajamas, we hurried to open the door.
Emma, what are you doing here at this time?
Emma looked exhausted and on the verge of tears.
Come in.
We helped Emma into the house and onto the living room couch. "Here, have some hot chocolate. Are you hungry?" Emma buried her face in the couch and shook her head. Beside her, Finn watched Emma with a worried look. What should we ask first? As we were searching for words, Emma suddenly asked us,
"Can you lend me $30? I promise I'll pay you back."
Emma was shivering. I rubbed Emma's arms, trying to calm her down. "Emma, what happened? Can you tell us about it?" Then Emma began to open up bit by bit. "My name is Dolly. I met Finn when I was 22, through a friend.
You, with your youngest child syndrome, need an older man with a heart as wide as the sky."
"What does that mean?" "It means you need someone who can watch over you with a smile as you barrel ahead on unfounded confidence. Someone who can share a long life with you." That's what my friend said, bringing along Finn, who was 2 years my senior. Finn, listening to our conversation with a smile.
"Dolly, you work at a bakery, right?"
"Yeah, since I graduated from high school, so it's been 4 years. I've gotten to make all kinds of bread. I'm working on new products now." I couldn't stop talking about my favorite subject, bread.
"That's amazing. I just graduated from college and am only in my second year working, so Dolly, you're more of a working adult than me."
I was surprised by Finn's words. Finn worked at a major consulting firm. Consulting was something I didn't quite understand. But according to a friend, he was high-spec. To be honest, I didn't like studying, so I didn't go to college. I started working at a bakery because they were hiring part-timers nearby. My parents were exasperated, deciding things on your own again. But as the youngest, I had always been quite free to do as I wished. And so far in my life, I have never regretted my choices. That's probably because I've been blessed with good people around me, from my parents who let me be, to friends and teachers. Thankfully, the bakery manager was also a very good person. Starting as a casual part-time job, the bakery recognized my efforts, and I was lucky enough to become a full-time employee after a year. I truly believe that my life is going well because of the people around me. And this person in front of me, I guess he must be a good person too. After all, not many people would say amazing to a high school graduate like me. Bakery work starts early, right?
I start at 4 a.m. But I'm motivated because I want everyone to have fresh bread for breakfast.
No matter the reason, I was proud to work hard making bread as a bakery employee. Listening to my story with a gentle expression, I quickly fell for Finn. So, on the day we met, I confessed to Finn. To my surprise, Finn accepted my confession. "I was drawn to your straightforwardness, Dolly. I want to know more about you." And so, we started dating.
"What does Finn want to eat?"
I like everything, so Dolly, you decide." I want to see Dolly enjoy her meal. On dates, Finn always prioritized where I wanted to go and what I wanted to eat. When I was trying to go to work despite having a fever. Delicious bread can only be made by someone who's well. "Take it easy today," Finn would say, stopping my reckless charge. I was always enveloped in Finn's kindness. And so, a year into our relationship, we happily married. A year later, our son Gary was born. Becoming pregnant, I quit my job at the bakery, but even without working, life with a small child can become overwhelming. Finn, returning from work, would say, "Thank you. I'll take care of the rest." And he would handle the remaining household chores. Truly, Finn was always calm and kind. Because Finn is my husband, I can always smile.
Gary will be like Dad.
I've told Gary since he was little. Perhaps because of our efforts, Gary grew up to be very gentle and kind, much like Finn. Noticing we were out of milk for the next morning, Gary would offer to go shopping with me at night. For my birthday, despite it being out of season, he would visit several stores to find my favorite peaches and buy them for me. I imagine the woman who becomes Gary's wife will lead a life as happy as mine. I can't help but compare myself to Gary's future wife, imagining conversations with her about the good qualities of our husbands. Ah, just the thought fills me with happiness. And then, doing things like having lunch or making bread with my son's wife. It must be delightful. I was eagerly looking forward to Gary's marriage. Seemingly unaware of my anticipation, Gary, at 24, suddenly announced one day, "Mom, I've decided to get married. I'll bring her over this Sunday." Since Gary had left home for college, we didn't even know he had a girlfriend, let alone that he was planning to get married. It was a surprise. But the marriage of our only son felt profoundly significant. I couldn't sleep the night before they were to visit for their marriage introduction. And then, Sunday came. I had anticipated a joyous and happy time, but that expectation was to be utterly shattered. Gary's wife-to-be, Fiona, was 21, 3 years his junior. They met at a party.
Fiona is pregnant with our child.
What? Finn and I were speechless, exchanging looks. Contrary to us, Gary and Fiona were poised. "Fiona, what do you do for work?" I asked, trying to get to know her.
I work part-time at a grocery store. But it's tough standing all day when you're pregnant, so I'll quit soon,"
Fiona said, crossing her legs on the sofa. This attitude towards the parents of her fiancé at their first meeting. I was taken aback.
"Gary, I'm thirsty. Do you have any cola?"
"Sorry, we don't keep soda around." "Is tea okay?"
Sure, whatever."
Finn and I felt a strong aversion to Fiona's brazen behavior. I had dreamed so much about Gary's marriage, but just a few hours with Fiona left me feeling incredibly anxious about the future. That night, Finn sighed, a rarity for him. "Will Gary be okay?"
"But Fiona is already pregnant. Gary seems to really love her, so all we can do is trust Gary."
And a month later, they were married. They decided not to have a wedding ceremony to save money for the upcoming child. Despite our worries, Gary and Fiona seemed to manage well on their own, considering the future of their child, which somewhat reassured us. 7 months later, a lovely little girl, Emma, was born. Gary's house is an hour's drive from ours. I wanted to visit Emma every day, and Gary said,
"You're always welcome."
However, Fiona visibly soured whenever we came over, so we refrained from visiting Gary's house. It was a bit lonely, but we kept up with Emma's growth through photos and videos Gary sent. Once Emma started walking, they began visiting us. We prepared lots of food to make them happy during those times.
"I'll have this one,"
Fiona would say, grabbing several pieces of her favorite cake first, as brazen as ever. But next to her, the angelic Emma healed us with her cuteness.
"This bear-shaped bread is cute."
"I made that."
"Really? Grandma, that's amazing."
"Thank you. Now, eat up." "Look, Gary, you too." Although my dissatisfaction with Fiona grew with each visit, seeing Gary and Emma was always a joy. When Emma was young, the Gary family would visit us often. But as she reached middle school, busy with clubs and lessons, their visits dwindled to around Thanksgiving and Christmas. I wish to see Gary and Emma more, but I dislike the turmoil Fiona brings. This distance might be just right. Maintaining a proper distance from my son's family, I lived tranquil days with Finn. As time passed, I am now 67 years old. Finn, after retiring, decided to invigorate the consulting industry further by volunteering to develop young talent. As for Gary's family, it's now just Fiona and Emma, who is in the 9th grade, living together. Gary has been on a solo assignment for 6 months. I told Gary, since you're not working, Fiona, it would have been better if you all moved and lived together. He laughed and replied, I'm supposed to come back after a 2-year assignment, so I didn't see the need to move the whole family. Emma's already in high school, and Fiona said she could take care of things at home. Is that so? Well, if you say so. Though I had my concerns, I trusted Gary and didn't say anything more. One night, Finn and I were awakened by the sound of the doorbell. What time is it? It's 1 o'clock. Who could it be at this hour? I'll go check. When we looked at the front door monitor, to our surprise, it was Emma. We rushed to open the door, still in our pajamas. Emma! What are you doing here at this time? Emma looked exhausted and on the verge of tears. Come in! We helped Emma into the house and onto the living room couch. Here, have some hot chocolate. Are you hungry? Emma buried her face in the couch and shook her head. Beside her, Finn watched with concern, wondering what to ask first. Emma suddenly asked us, Can you lend me $30? I promise I'll pay you back. Emma was trembling. I rubbed Emma's arms and sat her down on the couch. Emma, what happened? Can you tell us about it? Then Emma began to open up slowly. Mom's boyfriend came to our house, and I was kicked out. Mom's boyfriend? Is Fiona having an affair? Emma's words made both Finn and my expressions darken. Yeah. After Dad was sent on assignment, Mom started going out at night more often. She said she started working part-time, but a month ago, some man I didn't know came to our house. Emma's voice trembled. Has something like this happened before, being kicked out like today? Emma nodded silently, looking down. I was shaking with anger. According to Emma, she was fortunate enough to have a friend who could take her in last time she was kicked out. However, she couldn't keep imposing on her friend's hospitality for obvious reasons, so she decided to walk to our house, relying on instinct. You walked here? Finn's voice cracked in shock. It's an hour's drive from Emma's house to ours. To think she walked that distance. My mobile phone and wallet were taken away so I wouldn't contact Dad. Emma laughed weakly, then pleaded again. I don't want to go back to that house anymore. I was thinking of living in an internet cafe for a while and looking for a job with accommodation. So please, lend me some money to stay at the cafe until I find a job. I promise I'll pay you back. Like hell I'm going to lend you money, you fool. Finn's voice echoed throughout the house. His clenched fist was trembling with rage. Having lived with Finn for 45 years, I had never seen him display such anger. Emma's face fell in despair at Finn's words. So what am I supposed to do now? Emma started crying, face down on the floor. Finn, calm down, I said, rubbing Emma's back while speaking to Finn. Finn gulped down his water and took a deep breath. Emma, I'm sorry for raising my voice. You don't need to borrow money or leave home, nor do you need to work. We're here for you. Don't worry about money, just stay with us. Relieved by Finn's words, I spoke gently to Emma. That's right, Emma. You can rely on us. Emma looked up, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you." I hugged Emma. "There, no need to cry anymore. Go take a shower. You'll have to make do with my pajamas and underwear for tonight."
"Thank you."
Finn also looked at Emma with a gentle gaze. After the shower, Emma devoured the soup I had made. Neither Finn nor I wanted to cause her any more distress, so we refrained from asking further questions. Recently, I've started doing yoga. I've been trying to get Finn to join, but he's not interested at all. I just don't get yoga. Sphinx, tree, I can't make heads or tails of those poses. You don't get it either, right, Emma?
Haha. I don't know, but I might be interested. Really? Then let's do it together next time. If we bring the granddaughter, my friends will be thrilled.
Emma finally showed a relieved expression. Seeing Emma like this made us feel relieved too. I'm going to clean up and head to bed, so Emma, you go ahead and sleep.
Okay, good night.
She must have been very tired, as we could hear her breathing softly from the bedroom almost immediately. We quietly closed the bedroom door. The clock hands were pointing to 3 a.m. Even though it's this time, we can't just sit around. Right. We decided to call Gary. It took a while for Gary to answer, but we kept the phone ringing.
Hello, sorry I was asleep. What's happened?
Gary finally picked up. Sorry to wake you. But we thought it was important to tell Gary right away. After starting like this, I told Gary everything that had happened in the last 2 hours. Remembering Emma's crying face made me occasionally pause for words. When that happened, Finn would take over and continue the story. Gary listened to the end, responding only with nods. I know it's hard to accept hearing this all of a sudden in the middle of the night. I'm sorry. Worried about Gary's silence, a heavy sigh could be heard over the phone. Thinking about Gary's unfortunate situation nearly brought me to tears. But Gary's next words stopped them. I knew Fiona was cheating. What? It seems Gary had been coming home once a month even during his assignment and had noticed something off in Fiona's behavior. For example, being irritable despite his return, or staying up late, texting someone on her mobile phone. He had thought about asking Emma what was happening when he wasn't around, but hesitated to discuss his suspicions of Fiona's infidelity with his teenage daughter, ultimately telling Emma nothing.
But I had no idea Emma was being pushed into such a situation. Damn it!
It was hard to imagine such indignation from the usually calm Gary. A month ago, I hired a detective agency to investigate Fiona's infidelity. As I suspected, Fiona was cheating. The investigation revealed that Fiona was meeting a man about 40 minutes away from their home on weekday nights and weekends. Openly dating without concern for being seen, even entering a hotel with him. I'm currently consulting a lawyer with this evidence. But if Emma's in that situation, I'll come over first thing tomorrow morning. Please take care of Emma until then. With that, Gary hung up. After hanging up, I sat down on the floor. And Finn supported me beside. I had never felt such anger in my life. I hadn't had a good impression of Fiona since they introduced her during their engagement. But we kept silent, thinking if Gary was happy, that's what mattered. Dolly, let's try to get some sleep. We'll think more when Gary gets here tomorrow. Yes. We headed to the bedroom. Emma was sleeping soundly, her breathing steady. She was already in high school but still had an innocent sleeping face, which almost brought me to tears again. Poor thing. Finn shook his head beside me. No, we won't let anyone feel sorry for her. We'll protect Emma and make her happy ourselves. Finn's words deeply resonated with me. This is how Finn has always gently shown us the way forward. With Finn by my side, I felt we could overcome any difficulty and fell asleep with that thought. The next morning around 8 a.m., Gary arrived at our house.
Dad, what about work?
Seeing Gary, Emma was surprised. I took the day off. You're more important than work. I'm sorry, Emma. Emma tried hard not to cry and shook her head.
Emma, can you wait here for a bit? I'm going to talk to Fiona now,
Gary said with a tense look. Then, Finn stood up. We're going too. This isn't just a problem between Finn and Fiona. Hearing Finn's words seemed to ease Gary's tension a bit. Gary gave Finn a quick hug.
Will you be okay alone, Emma?
Normally, one wouldn't ask a high school grandchild this. But leaving Emma alone felt worrisome. Sensing my concern, Emma showed us a smile. I'll be fine, Grandma. Take care of Dad. Seeing Emma's face, I couldn't help but smile too. The four of us here share a wonderful relationship, caring for each other. I vaguely felt that together, we could overcome anything that might come our way. The three of us rode in Finn's car, heading to Gary's house. During the ride, Gary sighed repeatedly.
We're always on your and Emma's side.
Thank you. These were the few words exchanged between father and son, but they were filled with immense love and trust. The journey took an hour, but it felt quick as my mind was preoccupied. When we arrived at Gary's home and entered with his keys, we saw large sneakers in the entrance. Seeing the sneakers, Gary's shoulders trembled. Then, Fiona appeared from a room, looking flustered.
Gary, aren't you supposed to be at work? And why are Finn and Dolly here too?
Gary didn't respond to Fiona's questions and proceeded inside, kicking off his shoes.
Wait a minute.
Fiona hurried after Gary, trying to stop him, but he didn't look back. Gary paused as he opened the living room door.
What are you doing in someone's house?
Gary's voice filled the quiet house. The man did not reply. We hurried to the living room, where a tall man with blonde hair stood. Gary, don't get the wrong idea. The light was out, and I was just getting a friend to change it for me.
That's right. Your husband was away on assignment, so she asked me to. Where's Emma?
We didn't miss the man's reaction to the mention of Emma.
Emma has been staying over at a friend's house since last night,
Fiona answered calmly from behind, likely unaware that Emma had walked to our house.
Hudson Roberts, breaking into someone's home and kicking out their daughter to cover up your affair.
Gary raised his voice, glaring at the man. Yes, Gary had already known the man's name and background from the infidelity investigation. Hudson and Fiona were shaken by Gary's words.
Both of you, sit down.
Overwhelmed by Gary's authority, they sat in the living room chairs without a word. We took seats facing them.
We have enough evidence of Fiona's affair with this man.
Gary slammed the investigation report on the table. The two exchanged glances, wide-eyed.
You two kicked Emma out of the house last night, taking away her phone and wallet so she couldn't contact me.
Gary's voice trembled.
Emma walked all the way to our house.
Finn, though not emotional, glared at them. After a silence, Fiona laughed slightly. Yes, I had an affair. You're living alone, enjoying your freedom, so why can't I have a little fun too? I reached my limit of anger at Fiona's words.
Gary has been working for the family.
I've been managing the household while Gary worked outside. Fiona, now annoyed at being reprimanded, began to spill everything. Hudson was an old boyfriend, and though they wanted to marry, both were unemployed and faced opposition from their parents. Meeting Gary, who had a high income, seemed like a chance for an easy life, so she married him, planning to live properly as a mom until their child graduated high school. Now, feeling free, she had started seeing Hudson again. Fiona showed no remorse for her actions, leaving me beyond anger, just astounded. Gary, sitting silently, clenched his fists. Lifting his head, Gary spoke. "You're free to do as you please. But remember, you'll agree to a divorce, I'll have Emma's custody, and you both will face a suitable compensation claim. We'll have the divorce discussions with a lawyer next time." With that, Gary stood up. Finn and I hurried after him. Back in the car, Gary took a deep breath.
"Thanks for being here."
Gary managed a smile. "Thanks for coming with me." Upon returning home, the house was filled with a pleasant aroma. Delicious-looking bread was on the table. Slightly misshapen but appetizing. "Did Emma make this?" Emma nodded shyly.
"Yeah. But real bread takes time, so this is just cut and baked in the oven."
Gary reached for a piece and tasted it.
"It's delicious."
Seeing Gary's smile, Emma looked delighted.
"Then, I will too."
"I'd like some as well." The bread was subtly sweet, filled with Emma's kindness. With the four of us together, I felt certain we would be all right. Surrounded by a peaceful atmosphere, I was convinced of this. The following weekend, Gary and Fiona conducted their divorce negotiations with a lawyer present. Fiona agreed to the divorce but insisted on not giving up custody of Emma. It was bewildering that she would claim custody after having an affair and driving Emma out. Upon closer examination, it seemed her insistence on custody was mainly for the sake of child support. It was clear to the lawyer that Fiona had no love for her family and was only interested in getting money from Gary. When the lawyer called Emma to hear her thoughts, Emma chose her dad, stating she'd rather enter a facility than have her mom hold custody. Fiona was shocked to hear such words from Emma, seemingly not expecting them at all. Her selfishness was astounding. Thanks to the lawyer's precise judgment, Gary and Fiona divorced, with Gary gaining custody of Emma. Additionally, Fiona was to receive $200 in child support monthly, plus $20,000 in alimony for her affair, and another $10,000 from her affair partner in a lump sum. With the divorce, Gary decided to sell the house, and he and Emma moved back home, while Fiona moved in with her affair partner. "It's okay. I'll live with Hudson from now on." To finally be together. It was frankly disturbing to hear such words from two people in their 40s. We were all utterly dismayed by their carelessness. Fiona initially said,
"Since I'm paying child support, at least let me see Emma."
But when Emma refused to meet Fiona, we did not allow the visitation. Fiona then angrily declared she would stop paying child support if she couldn't see Emma. Gary didn't care about the money. He wanted Fiona to show some motherly love towards Emma through the child support, but that hope was in vain. Fiona showed no remorse for the pain she caused her family by her infidelity. With no more child support payments and no contact with Fiona, we were unaware of her current situation. Rumor has it that Fiona and her affair partner had to take out loans to pay the alimony and are now working hard to repay their debts. I sincerely hoped Fiona would learn about the harsh realities of life. Half a year later, Gary's company was considerate of the situation, and he was able to return to his original department. For the past 6 months, Finn and I had been taking care of Emma. We tried to ensure she didn't feel lonely, but we were still anxious about whether we were providing a truly comforting place for her. So, we were genuinely relieved when Gary was coming back.
"Grandma, let's bake some bread."
Emma got up early on the day Gary was coming back. "Sure, what kind of bread do you want?"
"Bagels."
"I didn't know you liked bagels." Emma laughed and shook her head.
"No, it's not me. Dad loves bagels."
Indeed, Gary had always loved bagels since he was young.
Dad used to go around various bakeries buying bagels, but after eating them, he'd always say, "It's not quite right."
A bagel critic, huh? We all laughed out loud.
"I'll teach you my bagel recipe then." "Really?" "Of course. It's been my dream to pass on my recipes to family. I thought I had to give up because I only had a son."
Though the dream of baking with Gary's wife never materialized. Now I was able to bake with my granddaughter. It felt profoundly meaningful.
"I'm really happy living with Grandpa and Grandma,"
Emma said as she prepared.
"Dad, I still don't like bell peppers, but I'm looking forward to living with you."
You still don't like them? How long are you going to stay a child? We exchanged glances and laughed.